Thank you, Carlos.
My pleasure.
Right before you go to the airport, so I really enjoyed all of your lectures, right? And I want to try and make some sense of it for audience who does not have a background in philosophy,
Right.
does not have background in education, and just ask you a few very simple questions. Anna is gonna hold us accountable for short answers.
Oh, that's
See or no?
that is difficult. All right, I do my best.
Okay, so you said the future of education has two legs: sustainability and global citizenship education. My simple question to you is, why is it crucial for students in high school to study sustainability?
It is crucial because as I am developing now crisis theory
No theory.
of
Sorry,
the planet,
no, yeah.
uh,
Yes.
people should
Yes.
realize that, see, when you are walking
Yeah.
towards an abyss,
Yeah.
people shall tell you,
Yes.
stop.
Yes.
That's the least you can do.
Yes. And that's why they should study.
That's why they
sustainability.
should commit themselves to confront the destruction of the planet.
What is their benefit? Because people are unable to see their immediate benefit in this.
Well, it's a very good question because, in a way, some people will win, some people will lose. Who will lose? People who are performing predatory culture activities or selling petroleum or similar. Those people, if you begin to put conditions, will lose. Or if people who sell white granulated sugar will find that there will be a heavy tax put on them because these are dangerous for your health. So those are the losers. Who win? Well, people who have decided to make this life a better world.
Okay. And this pursuit of studying about the environment or about sustainability, how does this contribute to creating a global citizenry?
The global citizenry is already here. We have all sort of global citizens. You have global citizens confronting the need for a green environment. You have CEOs who live in their jets, going back and forth between country and country, making deals.
Yes.
You have people who defend the creation of models of government organization like the European Union. In synthesis, the global world is already here. But why we need more? Well, what we need is a sense of coordination of this process through some kind of normative sense. And essentially, I can explain to you why global citizenship is very good at three levels. One in the cognitive level, second in the social emotional level, and third in the behavioral level. That's fine. I can explain that to you.
Right.
But the point is, what we need to explain and then move exactly into the transformation of the situation that we have already identified as problematic. And what we are looking at problematic
Yes.
is the global warming. What we look at the problematic is the crisis of people who will not have jobs with the artificial intelligence. So in a way, it's a complex phenomena
Yeah.
that has to do with survival of the planet, but not survival of the fittest.
I was going to ask you about that aspect also, but it's really good that you talked about the three levels: the cognitive level benefit, the social emotional level benefit, and the third one was
It's behavior. How the people behave
Behavior.
once they have decided to be global citizens.
right, right. So my question to you is that this is something that is not really pursued as a part of a integrated or holistic curriculum in schools in China, let's say, or in India for that matter, right? How can project-based learning enhance students' understanding of sustainability and also propel them or guide them to be global citizens?
Well, first, both countries that you mentioned sign up. the argument on sustainable development goals. So that means that they have some responsibility. If they would have abstained or opposed, it's a different matter.
Yes.
So since they have some responsibility, the question is how they exercise that responsibility. And I think that we have enough elements out there. There's a very good center in Korea that continues to teach administrators and teachers how to incorporate global citizenship education in the
GCED.
curriculum. That
Yeah,
will be the center which is in Seoul.
UNESCO's.
UNESCO
Yeah,
Center
I
in Seoul.
know. APCIEU
Yeah,
or something
I
like
don't
that, yeah.
remember
Yeah.
the exact title.
Right.
I've been giving lectures there for some
Right,
time,
right.
and I have participated in educating some of the international professors that will work on this in their countries.
Right.
But as I said before, this is not free of charge. In other terms, Korea is a champion for global citizenship education as Japan was a champion
Yes.
on the question of the idea of a defense of peace,
Yes.
because they have suffered so
Yes,
much,
yes.
or the idea of confronting nuclear war, etc.
Yes.
So because the countries make decisions, they have made a lot of decisions, these two cases being an example. But on the other hand, the overall model has to be also connected with the question of corporations. And at that level, the answer is already in place. It is social green investment. And what is happening now is that even the most conspicuously horrible capitalists,
Yes.
as soon as some investors buy stock and began to promote social green investment in several of these stock markets,
Yes.
the fact is that capitalism also may be turning into a green economy model.
Right.
It will take some time, many people will be opposed, but it's a necessary and perhaps not completely insufficient condition.
Right. I'll go back with another different angle to this. Is students who are just starting out, they don't know what their major is going to be. They don't know what they're going to be pursuing, whether it's going to be finance or IT or something else. Why should they go ahead and study about sustainability in different projects or different avenues where they can actually learn about these programs?
Well, there are several reasons why I would recommend for them to consider. Number one, we have a demographic problem. The people on this earth are growing at an incredible pace, and therefore the question is, how could you make sure that there will be the jobs that they want there in the future?
Yes.
The answer, there will not be.
Yes.
In fact, artificial intelligence, and some people have said that as we speak today, is going to make all of us unemployed.
Yeah.
Maybe not true,
Yes.
but on the other hand, there is a very serious issue. If you don't have a job, how do you survive? Well, one of the arguments is that in the context of these big changes, what you need to do is to confront the future right now. If these people who want to be rich and they want to really make the decisions right now and forget about the conditions of the future, they already made a mistake.
Got it. It was really funny, the example of your own self about you going to Stanford and not knowing any English,
Yeah.
right? This is something that a lot of Chinese students also struggle with. What is your advice on language learning?
Well, you have to learn languages in order to be more capable, with more skills, with more capabilities, in order to interact in the world and make a big difference in the process of social transformation.
Yeah.
How I did it? Well, I think it's very simple. It doesn't require much elaboration. I am a very intense, intellectually oriented person. I know that I'm capable to do anything I decide to do. I have no fear I just not worry about anything. I just do it.
Yeah.
And finally, the
It's-
other element is
yeah.
that if you put your heart in one place, then you are there.
Yeah.
Let me put an example. This could sound silly to you, but by the time I go to Stanford, I already written 7 books
Yes.
in Portuguese and Spanish,
Yes.
and about half a dozen of research articles. So it was no surprise
Yeah.
that when people saw my CV, plus my work in the government,
Yeah.
etc., work in private research centers, they gave me this extraordinary fellowship. You know, I pay not even $1 at Stanford. Stanford paid for everything for
Yeah.
me. Not only that, I was going to do a PhD, and when I went to check what was my progress, one of the administrators said, "Oh, Torres, you have already done enough to get a master program. You want to have another master program? You have one." So why not?
Yeah.
It didn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
So essentially, I did what I had to do because
Yes.
I was convinced that what I wanted to do was important.
Right.
But the other part of the story is that I am a writer. So the first thing that I try to do, how you learn languages? Let me explain this. You probably know this better than other people. First, you understand people speaking to you.
Yes.
Then you speak back to them, so you understand to speak.
Yes.
Third, you are able to read the newspapers, etc. And fourth, you write. What happened that I'm a writer and a quite good writer in more than one language.
Yes.
And what I did was I said, okay, how much it will take me to publish my first article in English?
Yes.
It took me 4 months.
Yeah.
And I published in a very good journal in Africa, and people love it.
Yeah.
And this article is still circulating all over the world. In other terms, when you begin to have success in your commitments, that reinforce your commitments.
Right. I love that. And I was going to ask you about your writing as well, because you're such a prolific, well known writer with so many books and publications. Why, in today's time, is writing important? Why is it something that we should still do?
Well, let's say
Or
from
students,
one,
young students.
from one end,
Yeah.
if the young students get to work in a university and they want to be professors, there is a maxim: publish or perish. And my answer to people is, you don't like it, don't get in that profession,
Yeah.
because you have to publish.
Right.
What happened that I'm an obsessive publishing person.
Yeah.
So how I become a good writer? When in English was not my language, I wrote 10 pages every day for about a year and a half or two,
Perfect.
and
Yes.
then I had more than 1,500 pages,
Yeah.
and then some of them become part of my
Yes.
articles. One
Yes.
element.
Yes.
Second element, you have to have initiative, you have to have creativity,
Yes.
you have to have a lot of creation
Yeah.
in your heart.
Yeah.
And I am very creative,
Yes.
so I began to do that.
Yes.
Finally, once I am ready to do science, I discovered that English is a very good language for science, better than others. Like I speak perfect Spanish, but the problem with perfect Spanish is that you have to write very well. So when I got to that point, I decided to write fiction in Spanish.
Right. But science is English is good.
English is very good,
Yeah.
and my publications in fiction is very good too. And I
Yeah.
have a whole art novel published in Portuguese, etc.
Yeah.
In synthesis, what you want to do if you want to be yourself, let your own capacities flourish. And once you do it, what happens is that you begin to change. And you begin to change not so much because you want to achieve money or prestige, it's because you want to achieve who you are. When I began to write
Yeah.
a poem, when I began to write a short story, it's just to put down in writing things that have inspired me, that still inspire me, things that I want to do to make a difference in the world. And occasionally because love, occasions about creativity. At this moment, as I speak, and with this I will see, I have 2 novels, one published, and now will be published in Spanish, and another in Spanish and published. But now I'm thinking of preparing my third novel in English, and I decided that I have to decide. I'm very busy, according to what we discussed about these elements of sustainability and so on. But I will do either a short story or a longer novella
Yeah.
on this fantastic idea that I developed 5, 7 years ago. A novel about Lenin and Lenin bodyguards.
Ah, yes. You
I
mentioned.
cannot tell you the story because I
Yeah.
will give away
Yeah.
the whole plot.
Yes.
But I have discussed this with some friends and they were very surprised
Yes.
for my argument.
Yes.
So, in synthesis, I may do that, but I have other plans. I have a plan to work on science about connecting Freire with critical race theory like Frankfurt. I have another plan in the making of an autobiography that is entitled Surviving Academia in the US,
Yes.
in the shadows of Machiavelli and Freire, which are two extremes of social relationships. And in that context, I have maybe another 2, 3, 4 months to finish. But this work will be helpful for two reasons. One, to the young students and scholars that need to survive very difficult conditions in academia, and I did
Right,
very successfully. And two, because I want to show that even whoever you are, you still can be successful. Because I'm somebody who have to exile from Argentina.
Yes.
So exile is a process of learning.
Yes.
Then I become an immigrant.
Yes.
Therefore, immigration is a process of learning.
Yes.
Then I become an international student in the US.
Yes.
That gives you another perspective.
Yes.
And to conclude, I'm very competitive, as I said before, brutally competitive,
Yeah.
and I think it's good for your life.
Yeah.
And at some point, I asked a question to some very nice white woman. I said, Stanford.
Yeah.
I said, how many courses a Stanford student takes? And she said, that she was talking about the American students, we take 6 or 7 courses every quarter. You, meaning by that, I was a diminished individual because I was a people from the third world.
Yes.
You take 3 courses.
Okay.
The next quarter, I start taking 7 courses,
Right.
succeed in all of them,
Yeah.
and I finish earlier than anyone in my cohort with a dissertation because of my own personality and my interest is 2 dissertations. One
Yes.
on the question of theory, which
Yes.
is my great desire
Yes.
to continue working, and the other
Yes.
on empirical
Yes.
work.
Yes.
See, it
Yes.
is very simple. You can do anything you want as long as you put your heart
Yes.
into the process.
I think also, just to summarize what you said for academia, writing is a necessity.
Absolutely.
Also for knowing who you are, writing plays an important role, even for those who pursue other careers, let's say engineering or science or...
Identity is a process of learning.
Yes.
And maybe you don't
completely agree
know
with that.
your identity completely
Yes.
until you begin to learn about it.
Yes, and writing could be...
Writing is a way to put out part
Yes.
of your... And if I may finish with a sentence from my compatriot,
Yes.
Jorge Luis Borges. He should have received the Nobel Prize in literature, but the people that read Spanish in the Academy of in the Swiss Academy,
Yes.
Academy of Swiss, did not like him because he was very conservative. He said, and I like that. He
Yes.
said, writing poetry is letting your heart speak.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons we should write poetry.
Perfect. Last question, very concise. Can you give 3 points of advice to students, especially Chinese students, who like to go abroad to study?
First, you have to be convinced that this is good for them, because they will find many difficulties. Second,
Perfect.
You may have to have a perception that global citizenship makes a big difference in this world, and they may want to be more cosmopolitan. Third, at the same time, they have to make sure that as Chinese, they represent as ambassadors
Yes.
their own culture, their own citizenship, and behave in such a way to open up the world around them to appreciate, love, and enjoy China.
Right. Can you explain about the aspect of being cosmopolitan?
Cosmopolitanism
sentences.
is what it is. We are living a cosmopolitan societies,
Yeah.
and if you really turn the TV, you are watching things in Hollywood, or you can watch things in Gaza.
Yeah.
So the cosmopolitan tradition is already here and is here to stay. But if you don't have a good cosmopolitan training, you have real difficulty to understand everything that is presented to you in the mass media. The mass media is a model of
Yes.
uber cosmopolitanism.
Right. So cosmopolitanism in itself has to be taught critically for these students to.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
How was your lunch?
Oh, we have lunch with a great friend, you and Anna, and it was really lovely. Thank you.
Your coffee
very
is
much.
good.
Coffee was very good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It was awesome. It was awesome. We got this, and the car is on its way to drop you to the airport in 27 minutes.
Look at that.